The thing is, man, when people start talking about what the West can learn from Islam, they immediately get defensive. It's like everyone tightens up because they think you're about to criticize their lifestyle or their culture. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying, look, we've built a society in the West that's obsessed with freedom, absolute freedom, and it's amazing. It's what allows people to express themselves, to build, to innovate. But at the same time, that same freedom can become chaos if it's not grounded in something deeper. And when I look at Islam, what stands out is discipline, community, and purpose. Three things we're losing fast in the West. Think about it. In most Western cities, everyone's hustling, chasing something. People live in apartments stacked on top of each other and don't even know their neighbors. We've got convenience, we've got technology, we've got choice, but we've lost the sense of belonging. In a lot of Muslim societies, even if you disagree with the politics or whatever, you can't ignore the fact that people still live close to their families. They share meals, they pray together. There's a rhythm, a structure, a reminder that life isn't just about you. And I think that's something the West could learn from. Not religion as dogma, but as a system that reminds you that you're part of something bigger. It's crazy to me how in the West people are starving for meaning. You've got everything: food, water, entertainment options, and yet anxiety, depression, loneliness are through the roof. Look at Ramadan and fasting. Now you've got biohackers talking about intermittent fasting like it's a new discovery, or meditation. Prayer 5 times a day forces you to stop, breathe, reset. That's mindfulness. We pay for apps to remind us to do what religion already built into daily life. It's wild. And when you think about family, that's another big one. In a lot of Muslim cultures, family isn't optional. You take care of your parents. You stay connected to your siblings. There's this chain of belonging that goes up and down generations. In the West, we've made independence the ultimate goal, but sometimes independence becomes isolation. You hit 40, 50, and realize you've spent your life chasing success, but you've got no one to share it with. You can have all the money in the world, but if you die alone in an apartment and no one finds you for a week, what's the point? We've lost the script on what makes life meaningful. And that's where I think Islam, or the values embedded in it, has something to teach us. It's not about converting or believing what someone else believes. It's about looking at what's working for other civilizations and asking why. Why are people who live with less sometimes more content? Why do they seem to have inner peace while we're drowning in convenience and still miserable? I've had conversations with Muslims who talk about surrender, not in a weak sense, but in the sense of aligning with reality, with truth. That's deep, man, because in the West, we're all about control. We want to control everything, our careers, our image, even death. But control is an illusion. You can't control life. It's humbling to think there's a worldview that teaches people to let go of that illusion daily. And that humility, that acceptance, that balance between freedom and responsibility, that's what we're missing. You look at how the West views time. Everything's fast: productivity, growth, results. But Islam views time cyclically. Daily prayer, yearly fasting, lifelong accountability. It's a rhythm that keeps you human. And I think we need that rhythm again, man, because right now, our rhythm is notifications, deadlines, caffeine, burnout. No wonder everyone's exhausted. I'm not saying we should all start praying 5 times a day, but maybe we should start pausing 5 times a day to reflect, to be grateful, to remember that the world doesn't revolve around us. That's something Islam gets right. And it's not just spirituality. Even in how they handle community disputes, there's an emphasis on forgiveness, on unity, on family mediation, instead of cold legal systems. It's messy but human. The West made everything efficient, but in doing so, we removed the soul from a lot of it. You can order anything online but can't order meaning. You can connect with millions but can't connect with your neighbor. That's the paradox. And when you see Muslims gathering for prayer, shoulder to shoulder, all facing one direction, that's symbolism at its peak. Equality, humility, unity. The CEO and the janitor stand side by side. That's a reminder we could all use. We've built hierarchies, egos, divisions, and religion says, strip it down. Remember your dust. There's wisdom in that. The West worships self-expression. Islam emphasizes self-control. Maybe truth is somewhere in the middle. We need both, the freedom to be ourselves and the discipline not to destroy ourselves with that freedom. The older I get, the more I realize humans are built for balance, and balance comes from structure. Islam's structure, for those who live it sincerely, gives meaning to even the smallest act. Eating, sleeping, giving charity, even smiling becomes worship. Imagine if we lived like that, where everything had purpose. You'd have less nihilism, less anxiety, because your life would mean something every second. That's what we're missing, meaning. And the thing about meaning is it's not something you find in comfort. It's something you build through discipline, through service, through humility. That's what Islam preaches at its best, that you serve others, you serve God, you serve truth. And that's the paradox of fulfillment. When you stop chasing happiness, you find peace. It's interesting, man. You see people in the West diving into stoicism, mindfulness, yoga, all great things, but what they're really searching for is the same wisdom that ancient faiths like Islam already had. They're trying to rediscover what we've forgotten, that the human soul needs boundaries to thrive. Too much freedom without guidance becomes chaos. Too much comfort without purpose becomes emptiness. Maybe the West doesn't need more technology or more wealth. Maybe it needs more soul, more connection, more reverence. That's what I think we could learn, not as converts, but as students of human wisdom. Because at the end of the day, whether you're reading from the Quran or the Bible, everyone's asking the same questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What gives my life meaning? And any system that gives people a coherent answer to that is worth studying. And that's why I think Islam deserves a real conversation in the West. Not the headlines, not the politics, but the essence, discipline, faith, community, balance, purpose. Those aren't outdated values. Those are survival tools for the modern world. You know what else I think the West could learn from Islam? It's how they approach humility. Like in Western culture, we've kind of made arrogance fashionable. Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone thinks they're the main character of the universe. Everyone's broadcasting their life like it's a movie. But humility, real humility, is power. It's understanding that you're not the source of everything, that you're a small part of something bigger. When I talk to Muslim friends or people who've converted, one thing that keeps coming up is this idea that humility brings peace. When you stop trying to play God, life stops feeling like a constant battle for control. I think that's huge. In the West, our entire culture is built on control. Control your image, control your diet, control your time, control your future. But man, that's exhausting. You can't control everything. At some point, you have to surrender. And that surrender, if it's done consciously, can be the most liberating thing ever. You see people surrender to drugs, to money, to fame, but surrendering to something higher, something that gives you perspective, that's powerful. It's like when you're floating in the ocean and you can fight the waves and drown, or you can surrender and flow with the current. That's how I think a lot of people in the West could benefit from understanding Islam's concept of submission. It's not weakness, it's alignment. Another thing is gratitude. Islam has this constant reminder of gratitude, man. Every prayer, every phrase, praise be to God. It's built into daily speech. You ask someone how they're doing and they'll say, Alhamdulillah, meaning they're thankful no matter what. That's such a powerful mindset because in the West, we've built an entire economy on dissatisfaction. Advertising literally thrives on making you feel like you're not enough. You need more, buy more, achieve more. Gratitude cuts right through that illusion. It's saying, what I have is enough right now. And that's something I think we desperately need, especially in a culture that's always comparing. You scroll through social media and feel like a failure because someone else looks happier, richer, fitter. But in the Islamic worldview, success isn't measured by how much you have. It's measured by how content you are, how sincere you are. That's beautiful, man, because it means peace isn't something you chase. It's something you choose. And that mindset shift could heal a lot of people out here. I also think about how Islam connects daily life to a moral framework. Like, in the West, morality is often seen as subjective. My truth, your truth. But when everything's relative, nothing's solid. It's like trying to build a house on sand. In Islam, there's a clear moral code, a sense of accountability. And while people might find that restrictive, it actually gives structure to life. It gives people a way to navigate chaos. Because right now, a lot of people don't know what's right or wrong. They just follow whatever feels good. But feelings change, principles don't. having a system that reminds you of right and wrong even when no one's watching, that's rare now. And I think that's why some people who grew up in completely secular environments are drawn to religion later in life. They want something solid, something real, something timeless. There's also something powerful about the simplicity of Islam. One God, one purpose, one direction. That's it. In the West, everything's complicated. We've got 1,000 paths to happiness, 1,000,000 opinions, and no clarity. But Islam's message cuts through the noise. It says, serve the Creator, serve others, stay humble, stay grateful. It's simple, it's direct. And that clarity is like oxygen in a world full of confusion. I think that's what fascinates people, how something so ancient still feels relevant. And it's not about abandoning science or progress, it's about giving progress a soul. Because progress without meaning is just motion. You can build the best technology in the world, but if it doesn't make people better humans, what's the point? Another thing that hits me is the idea of modesty. Not just in clothing, but in behavior. In Western culture, everything's about showing off, being loud, standing out. But modesty is like a spiritual detox. It reminds you that you don't have to perform for the world all the time. You can live quietly with dignity, and that's enough. It's about inner worth, not outer validation. Imagine if that mindset spread across the West. People wouldn't need to constantly seek attention or prove their value. They just live with peace. That's deep, man. And it's funny because people look at the surface, the prayer, the dress, the rituals, and they think it's restrictive. But when you actually talk to people who live it, they'll tell you it's freeing. Because you're no longer a slave to society's trends. You're anchored in something timeless. That's the paradox. True freedom comes from discipline. It's like in martial arts. You only find real freedom of movement when you've mastered the basics. Same thing here. And maybe that's what the West needs to remember. Freedom without structure is chaos. Look at how people are burning out from choice overload, from lack of boundaries, from chasing things that don't satisfy. Islam provides that structure, a way to live with balance. And that's something worth learning from, not as outsiders looking in judgment, but as fellow humans trying to find meaning in a noisy world.